Tokyo, site of the 1986 summit meeting, is Japan's center of government, business, and culture. The Diet Building houses Japan's two-chamber parliament, the legislative branch of the government. The Marunouchi district is as prestigious as business addresses come in Tokyo, and most major banks and corporations are located here. No more than a stone's throw away lies the Imperial Palace, the home of the Emperor. Its sprawling outer grounds have become a jogger's paradise. Tokyo is a city not of buildings, but of people. Over 11.5 million live within a 30-mile radius, and over one-fifth of the population spend an average of 2 hours commuting to and from the city center daily. Tokyo boasts a mass transit system of some 36 rail lines and 670 bus routes. Punctual, but overcrowded. The government's major concern is how to control this vast amount of traffic. One answer is the Metropolitan Control Center. 59 cameras equipped with special sensors are positioned throughout the city. Traffic information is sent to the central computer, enabling these traffic controllers to regulate signals and broadcast traffic conditions to radio stations. With 7 major department stores and scores of exclusive boutiques, Ginza is the city's most expensive and elegant shopping district. On Sundays, it becomes a pedestrian mall where Tokyoites go just to enjoy the view. Akihabara, the first place to visit if you're looking for a good bargain in electrical goods and consumer electronics. There are hundreds of shops offering a wide variety of products at super discount prices. In a quieter section of the city is the National Gymnasium. Along with the National Stadium, it is one of Tokyo's major sports centers, attracting millions of spectators each year. This is the New Otani Hotel, which will provide accommodation for the 86 summit guests. And the talks themselves will take place in Tokyo's Akasaka Palace, the state guest house, a Japanese version of Versailles. Site of the 1979 talks, it'll once again host the meeting in May. Tokyo, the modern, bustling capital of Japan. It was called Edo in the late 15th century and was the castle town of the shogun, the feudal ruler of old Japan. In 1853, the arrival of Commodore Perry and his fleet marked the end of Japan's long period of isolation. And with the restoration of the imperial family in 1868, the Emperor Meiji moved the capital from Kyoto to Edo, renaming it Tokyo, the eastern capital. Modernization first appeared in Ginza with Japan's earliest horse trolley and gas lights. It became the center of all that was Western and new: hats, canes, and cafes. Within the past century, the city has been demolished twice, first by the Great Kanto earthquake of 1923, and then by the firebombings of World War II, which ended in 1945. Reduced to ashes, yet each time it's managed to rise up miraculously, rebuilding and eventually bringing its facilities up to an international level. American forces occupied the city during the immediate post-war period of 1945 to 1952, aiding in the reconstruction. During this time, the compulsory education system was expanded, a new democratic constitution adopted, given the right to vote. Industries were restored and improved, and a once fledgling auto industry began to produce cars for mass public consumption. The first place that prosperity returned to was naturally the Ginza. By the late 1950s, streets and department stores were crowded again, and the trolleys were back in action. The site of the 1964 Olympics, the first ever held in Asia. With 94 countries competing from around the globe, it was time for Tokyo to show off. The event spurred the building of the Shinkansen, or bullet trains, then the world's fastest, and the construction of highways and subways. Then came the inevitable skyscrapers. The 36-story Kasumigaseki building was Japan's first skyscraper built with the latest anti-earthquake technology. In the 70s, Shinjuku was set aside for the construction of the city's new heart. Today, dozens of skyscrapers adorn the Tokyo skyline, as Mount Fuji once did. With new hotels, new office blocks, new roads, and new shops, Tokyo seems to thrive on newness. Probably more than anywhere else in Japan, the city gives the illusion that it's been altogether westernized. Yet every modern innovation is curiously offset by something which has its roots deep in Japanese tradition. Tokyo is a place where the past is never too far away. A monument of ancient Japanese design, Meiji Shrine, is the most popular shrine in Tokyo. On New Year's Day, millions of people pass through its gates to toss a coin for good luck. And at exam time, young people flock to the shrine to wish for academic success. Asakusa, on the other side of town, retains more of the flavor of traditional Tokyo than any other part of the city. Each spring, as the weather turns warm, the district explodes in joyous celebration of one of Tokyo's largest, oldest, and most exciting festivals. Huge crowds gather to cheer on the bearers of portable shrines and dance through the narrow streets, shouting out chants dating back hundreds of years. Another ancient tradition preserved in Tokyo is the Fukagawa Festival. These acrobatic stunts date back to when the area was still a lumber yard. This young woman is having her hair done up in the traditional style, complete with hair ornaments to match her kimono. Jeans and t-shirts may be the everyday style, but on special occasions, it's back to the kimono. Right in the center of the city stands the Kabuki-zone, mecca of Japan's traditional theatrical art, kabuki. An all-male theatrical form, it's changed little in style, costume, or staging in the past century. Yet performances, which start in the morning, often running for hours, continue to attract Japanese of all ages. No, it's not avant-garde kabuki. It's Broadway's Cats, with a Japanese cast singing in Japanese. It's just one of many modern musicals staged here each year, and is every bit as popular as kabuki, making Tokyo perhaps the only city in the world where you can spend the afternoon with a shogun and the evening with a dancing cat. Another area where past is blended with present is fashion. Tokyo's designers are world famous for their innovation, which they themselves admit comes from a creative combination of the old and the new. A typical housing complex in the suburbs of Tokyo, one of Tokyo's answers to its severe housing shortage. Government subsidized, there's a long waiting line to get in. The Matsumotos, mom, dad, and 2 kids, a typical family. Mr. Matsumoto is a white-collar worker, known in Japan as a salaryman. A salesman, he works 5.5 days a week, earning about $28,000 a year. After getting her husband off to work, Mrs. Matsumoto takes the baby to a nearby kindergarten. And then returns home to do the housework. She has a washer, but no dryer. They still haven't caught on in Tokyo. There are no bedrooms here. The family sleeps in the 2 main rooms on futon, cotton matting taken out at night and put away in the morning. Unlike the old days, Mom and Dad sleep in a separate room from the children. Theirs is a typical 3-room apartment, a living room, a study bedroom for the kids, and a kitchen dining room. 15% of their monthly income is spent on rent, but this is in fact lower than the average. After completing her morning chores, she sits down at her rented word processor to do some typing, a part-time job earning her about $500 a month for a 25 to 30-hour work week. And she's by no means an exception. 1 out of 2 housewives now has some kind of job. With more spare time on their hands, they can use the extra money to pay for housing loans and the children's education. In the late afternoon, she does the daily shopping. She has a freezer, but prefers serving the freshest food to her family. She shops at both small neighborhood stores and at the supermarket. 15% of her monthly income goes for food. Dad may be the head of the family, but in Japan, it's Mom who holds the purse strings. The husband typically turns his paycheck over to his wife, who manages the money, paying bills and allotting a certain amount to Dad for his pocket money. After 8 years, the Matsumotos have managed to put aside about $17,000, nearly 20% of their annual income. They're saving for a house, the dream of most young married couples. A rare night home with his children. Although changing, most salary men still put in a lot of overtime and are usually not home in time for dinner with the children. This calls for a treat, one of the children's favorites, sukiyaki. Mr. Matsumoto gets 6 days off a month and 20 days of paid vacation a year, which he spends with his family. He enjoys more leisure time than ever before, and this allows the whole family to enjoy a nice day out at Tokyo Disneyland. Japan boasts one of the world's best educated populations, with 0% illiteracy. Education is compulsory and entirely free through the 9 years of elementary and junior high school, with an enrollment of over 99%. The school day is long, the school week is 5.5 days, and the school year is broken by short vacations. This emphasis on education dates from way back. Traditionally, the Japanese have stressed the importance of literacy and book learning. Formal education and examinations determine one's function and status in society. Classroom discipline is strict, and the children pay close attention to what the teacher says. The focus of Japanese education in elementary school centers on Japanese language, math, and science. But children are children, and when it's time for art class or science experiments, there's quite a lot of chatting and moving around. This science class is learning how to make magnets. At lunchtime, children serve each other on a weekly rotation basis, wearing masks and uniforms for sanitary purposes. It's all part of learning to be a member of the group, and the classroom is transformed into a cheerful cafeteria. One of the children's favorite subjects, physical education, is taught 2 hours a week. The latest in video equipment is used to monitor their progress, to let them see their own problems. It's often a cause for a giggle. Cleaning up can be a lot of fun, depending on the way you tackle it. The children clean the classrooms and hallways daily. After school, well, they receive outside tutoring or attend private academies for further drills and instruction. Sometimes it's just for swimming or music lessons, but more often it's for more serious study.
What am I eating?
English is not taught in the regular school system until junior high school, but these youngsters are getting a jump on their studies by attending an English juku.
Yes, I'm eating a sandwich.
Jukus are privately run preparatory schools where students go for extra study or to cram for the all-important entrance exams.
You are eating
They
a hot dog.
range from small classes
Yes.
to giant corporations with branches nationwide. More than half of all junior high school students and 1 out of 5 elementary school students attend these cram schools. Why? The answer is to get ahead. The best jobs go to students from the best universities, and you'll have a better chance of entering a good university if you go to a good high school. And a good high school demands good grades in junior high. It's hard on the kids, but it's just as hard on the parents' pocketbooks.
はい、1割る60分の20です。これと同じでしょ。きれい。
Still, the examination race is taken for granted. A good education is regarded as the most important thing parents can give their children. Doing everything from serving coffee to making cars, robots are no longer a mere novelty, but a realistic industrial tool. Japan leads the world in the production and use of microcomputer-controlled industrial robots. How are they being used in Tokyo's factories, and what are they doing for the workers? In this automated teller manufacturing plant, it seems the state of the art has been reached, as computers test computers for accuracy, a routine job once strictly reserved for human hands. For several years, they've been at work on the auto assembly line, freeing workers from tedious, dangerous, and exacting work such as welding and spray painting. This sophisticated robot is equipped with a sensor which tells it when to change from red to white paint. This advanced system has released workers from a particularly harmful job, allowing man and machine to work together. Of course, it's human hands that do the delicate finishing work and final inspection. A large percentage of the manufacturing plants in Tokyo are small, minor enterprises, employing an average of 10 people. A shortage of skilled labor has long been a problem for these industries. Recently, however, in small urban plants like this one in Tokyo, robots and humans work hand in hand to improve productivity. Here, a robot is used to do the painstaking job of spray painting aluminum auto parts. Skills such as this, that take years to acquire, can be programmed into the robot in a matter of hours. This plant manager programs the robot only after he has carefully determined how the robot's arm can best do its appointed task. And the productivity at this particular factory went up 50% thanks to the robot's speed and efficiency. Yet, in the end, it's the human skills which cannot be programmed into a computer that prove essential. Traditional Japanese-style restaurants are quickly catching on throughout the world. The emphasis is on simplicity and refinement, preserving the natural flavors of fresh seasonal food, especially seafood and vegetables. Presentation is another essential factor. The chef takes great pains in creating a meal balanced in texture, color, and flavor, served in exquisite bowls and dishes selected to enhance the delicacies. A visit to a Japanese restaurant holds promises of a culinary experience stimulating both palate and the eye. But nowadays, as far as ingredients are concerned, there's not much that's actually Japanese. Frozen shrimp, for example, comes from Southeast Asia, and likewise, many other essential foodstuffs have to be imported. Soybeans have long been a protein staple, but 96% is imported from the U.S. and Canada. Fermented bean paste called miso, and bean curd, probably better known by its name tofu, and of course soy sauce. These essential parts of the Japanese diet are made from imports. Meat, poultry, and dairy products are largely supplied by domestic producers. But when it comes to animal feed, like maize, nearly 100% has to be imported. No feed, no meat or eggs. Along with soybeans, wheat grown in America has now worked its way firmly into the Japanese diet. The consumption of bread has been rising steadily, and nowadays more families prefer it to rice on the breakfast table. These these aren't the sweet rolls you may think they are. In typical Japanese fashion, many are filled with vegetables and the traditional bean paste. Ramen, a lunchtime favorite. Slurping away at these tasty noodles, nobody thinks about the fact that they're made from imported wheat. Supermarket shelves are filled with foreign brands. Take away all the imports and there wouldn't be much left for shoppers. Tempura, one of the most popular of all Japanese dishes. Deep fried, yet light on the stomach, the thought is enough to make your mouth water. But that golden brown shrimp may not be Japanese at all. The traditional cuisine is being kept alive by imports. Now serving his 4th year as Japan's Prime Minister, Yasuhiro Nakasone is an energetic man who looks much younger than his 68 years. A man of action, he's continuously on the go, meeting foreign diplomats, making appearances at various functions as he carries out his duties as the nation's leader. He strongly believes in relating directly to the people, especially the youngsters in whose hands lie the future of Japan. Together with his wife of 40 years, Tsutako, he resides in Tokyo. Although he's termed a workaholic, he finds time to relax with his 3 children and 6 grandchildren. To meet the challenges of his work, he practices Zen meditation at least once a week to cleanse and strengthen the mind. A recognized amateur painter, he takes up his brush whenever possible. Nakasone makes a special effort to talk directly with the people wherever he goes. He believes in speaking his mind in his own words and has addressed various foreign audiences, sometimes in English.
That Japan will correct any causes of the trade imbalance that Japan is responsible for.
Public opinion polls show that the Nakasone government enjoys strong public support, ranging well over 50%. When he first took office as Prime Minister, Nakasone proposed building Japan into an international state, a country that would contribute actively to the international community, both economically and culturally. He has continuously directed his energy towards solving major trade issues and has appealed directly to the nation for the people's support in this effort in particular. A marked characteristic of Nakasone's foreign policy is to make a great point of direct talks at the top. He believes that the way to world peace is through close personal contacts and direct exchange of ideas and information. Firm in this belief, he has spent much energy traveling around the world, speaking out clearly on Japan's behalf and on issues of global concern. He exhibits his energetic style whether addressing international forums or entertaining foreign guests in the privacy of his country home. In May, he'll be hosting the Tokyo Summit, where he is once again sure to take an active part in the discussions. In 1947, a Japanese woman could expect to live to be 49 years old. Today, it's 80. With her male counterpart living to be 75, the Japanese now have the longest life expectancy in the world. By the 21st century, 1 out of every 5 people will be over 65. The seniors of Tokyo, however, are placing their emphasis on involvement rather than retirement. The tradition of the extended family continues to remain firmly rooted in modern Japan. Homes in which elderly members live with their children account for 65% of all families. One answer to the challenge of harnessing the talents of its aging citizens is Japan's new University of the Air. Students of any age enroll in TV courses for college credit and also attend classes at study centers. Over 20% of the students and professors are retired professionals. Established in 1976, this was the first employment agency in Japan designed to meet the needs of senior citizens. 1,600 people are registered and can be called upon. 50% of the seniors employed through this agency are working simply for pleasure. And at senior centers such as this one in Tokyo, the elderly get together to exercise their minds and bodies, and of course to enjoy each other's company. Along with calligraphy, exercise, social dance, music, and English are taught on a daily basis, free of charge. Established in 1981, over 100 people between the ages of 65 and 84 come here daily to participate in these activities. In Tokyo alone, there are 18 of these large centers and 348 smaller ones.
Thank you.
These senior citizens sure know how to enjoy life, setting a great example for their younger counterparts. One of the most fashionable districts in the whole of Tokyo, Harajuku. On weekends, it's crowded with thousands of trend-conscious youngsters who have come to sample the action. New fashions from all over the world fall on Harajuku thick and fast, appealing to this ever-growing and ever-younger audience. Broadway musicals are the latest in entertainment, and the young are the first to respond to the trend. Professional dance schools like this are mushrooming throughout the city. In sports, excitement reaches a climax in the All-Japan High School Baseball Tournament. Though Western influence may be strong, traditions still flourish in modern-day Japan. These young people are practicing the martial art known as Aikido. Zen meditation is enjoying a quiet boom among the young. The supernatural sounds of the sho, a wind instrument featured in the ancient form of music, gagaku, a tradition kept alive by young enthusiasts who are working to add new life to the old. Women were once required to practice ikebana, or flower arrangement, as one of the social graces expected of prospective brides. Now it's become a popular hobby, especially among the young. A favorite among the Japanese since the 17th century, kabuki is a popular dramatic art form once handed down from father to son, but now open to any aspiring performer. Here at the School of the National Theatre of Japan, these young men are being taught their craft by a master. Dreaming of the day they'll stand on the grand kabuki stage, they study speech, traditional dance, and swordplay. Trendy, energetic, and very much conscious of the latest in fashion, the young people of today are yet fully aware of their cultural heritage. With the vitality expected of their youth, they manage to pursue both trends and traditions.